Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
We're rolling.
We're rolling.
No, man, it's my turn.
Say it.
Then say it already so we can go.
I'm keeping this all on the podcast, so it's gonna be funny. We're rolling for the 15th time. Welcome back to the Good 90 Podcast, episode 3. Part
Season
2,
1.
Season 1, yeah, part 2 of Judges 6. We'll be talking about idols today and what they are, how they affect us.
And not American Idol.
Yeah, not American Idol, not yeah.
It was a good episode last night.
Yeah, shout out that girl from Monroe. What's her name? Or
Claire Ray.
I was about to say Carrie Underwood.
Yep, her. Yeah, no, Lainey Wilson. Yeah, no, her. Did it
I don't
air
know.
last night?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We got to be careful. about what we
Is
say.
she from Monroe?
Yeah.
Like what town?
I
Monroe.
thought she was
Actually,
from
where'd you go to high school?
Baskin.
Well, I don't know where
We're not talking about
she went to
Lainey.
high school, but
She is from Baskin.
I know her because one of my best friends, it's his cousin, and he was talking about like, hey, she's going on American Idol. I'm like,
She get the golden ticket.
that's awesome. I don't know. It depends on what they aired
Whatever.
on the episode.
Wait, who are we talking about right now?
I have no idea.
We're not talking about Lainey Wilson. I thought we were too.
No,
I was
no.
like,
Lainey
She
Wilson
is from
went to
Baskin,
Baskin.
Louisiana. She's
Baskin.
not from Monroe.
She's from
Okay.
Baskin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't you ever say that about her again.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no. I
She
see
has
her
her own
sign.
highway.
Like she's got a big old sign. Like if you hit Baskin, like when I drive up from Baton Rouge,
Yeah.
it's like Lainey Wilson, home of Lainey Wilson. They named the highway after her, everything, bro. Yeah, you can't miss it.
Okay.
Big old purple sign, Baskin.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. So there was a girl from Monroe
Who was
on
on
American
it.
Idol last
Yes.
night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I only know that because Flying Tiger had like a watch party and she played music there, and
Got it.
I was like, oh, cool.
She's a local. She's really good.
was
She's
like,
a
cool.
local artist
Cool.
around here.
Do y'all remember a time when American Idol wasn't a thing? Or has that always been something you've known?
I was
feel
born in
like-
2003, so I mean, probably not.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like
it's
y'all
always
don't,
been
y'all don't
around.
know a world when it didn't exist.
I mean, I don't think I had consciousness when it was.
When did it air? Do you know?
Hell, it would have been in the around 2000, around the time you were born.
Yeah,
I
because
would think. Yeah,
who was the first winner? Was it Carrie Underwood?
I don't know, but man, the first couple of seasons of that were like everybody watched it, and like it was really funny.
Yeah.
like, some of the stuff that was
I
on
mean,
there.
we
Yeah.
watched it all my childhood, but I can't tell. I mean, I was born in 01, so I don't.
Yeah.
It might.
The last time I watched it was when the guy from my home parish, Lane Hardy, it was his second time going on it, and like it was like the first time they ever did like a duet, so they auditioned as a duet together, and
I remember that.
somehow the girl like got kicked off, but he somehow it was so rigged.
Yeah, they
It was
wanted
so
him to.
rigged.
stay,
Yeah,
but not her. I
Yes, they
remember
wanted.
watching
Yeah,
that.
and so he got to the part where they had the hometown concert, and I got like VIP because I'm like somehow farly distantly related to the guy, and we went to church with like his kinfolk or whatever, and I got to like be right up on the stage and to watch him play and saw all the cameras and stuff, and it was pretty cool. But that's the last time I watched it. I haven't watched it since.
VIP.
VIP,
I went-
man, very important person.
I went to a Flatland Calvary concert last year in
Are they good?
Alexandria. Yeah, they're so
I might
good.
go see him in Jacksonville. Saw they play him.
And I'm going, and like American Idol, you're just saying, like how relevant is it? I guess do I remember it not being? And it was at the time where I had TikTok, and I saw some dude named Colin Stow on there, and he sang a cover of Stone by Whiskey Myers, and it was really good. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, whatever, you're just awesome. And I go to this concert, and it's Bulls, Bands, and Barrels. We just watch a rodeo, and I'm with my buddy. I'm like, hey, I'm going to the bathroom. I'm walking in the bathroom, and I see that dude, Colin Stow, just walking down the deal. And I'm kind of looking at him, and I was like, you know what, I might just say his name. I was like, Colin? And he turns, looks at me, he's like, what's up, dude? Comes up, shakes my hand. He's like, yeah, the only dude who's ever recognized me. I was like, cool.
So you're his very own VIP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
Good times. Yeah.
Super fan.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he was doing.
Now,
All right, let's
now we'll
rejudge
talk
it.
about idols. That's you said that.
Yeah, that's good. That was a good intro.
Yeah,
Think about
great
it.
intro.
Yeah.
All right, so we're in Judges chapter 6, where we were last week. This is sort of the continuation, but the angel showed up, told Gideon, "You're going to be the guy," and Gideon's like, not me, not me, not me. And then this is kind of what happens next. It's like that was step 1. This is step 2. And so yeah, Mason's going to read for us, starting verse 25 through 32, chapter 6.
All right. That night the Lord said to him, "Take your father's bull and the second bull, 7 years old, and pull down the altar of Baal that your father has, and cut down the Asherah that is beside it, and build an altar to the Lord your God on top of the stronghold here, with stones laid in due order. Then take your second bull and offer it as burnt offering with the wood of the Asherah that you shall cut down." So Gideon took 10 men of his servants and did as the Lord had told him. But because he was too afraid of his family and the men of the town to do it by day, he did it by night. When the men of the town rose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was broken down, and the Asherah beside it was cut down, and the second bull was offered on the altar that had been built. And they said to one another, "Who has done this thing?" And after they had searched and inquired, they said, "Gideon the son of Joash has done this thing." Then the men of the town said to Joash, "Bring out your son, that he may die, for he has broken down the altar of Baal and cut down the Asherah beside it." But Joash said to all who stood against him, "Will you contend for Baal, or will you save him? Whoever contends for him shall be put to death by morning. If he is a god, let him contend for himself, because his altar has been broken down." Therefore on that day Gideon was called, Jerubbaal. That is to say, "Let Baal contend against him, because he broke down his altar."
All right.
Amen.
Yeah. And it's Baal.
Yeah, I was
however
about
you
to
wanna say
ask.
it.
Is it
same guy?
I always said it was Baal.
Baal. And then Asherah. And so Baal, however you want to say his name, and Asherah, they're both false gods. And one of them, I think, is like more related to agriculture. One of them might be more related to fertility. I think Baal is like the male version. I think Asherah might be the female version. It's been a while since I've read that stuff, but I feel like that's kind of what we're talking about. And a lot of those false gods were definitely tied to agriculture, like rain, stuff like that, fertility, because people wanting things to continue. We want our crops to grow, we want our families to grow. And so that's why they would build altars. And the pole, I think I've never seen one, but like the Asherah pole, think like maybe like a totem pole type thing, like something with a big tall wooden, not as big as a telephone pole, but maybe something like
carvings
that,
and stuff
with carvings
on it.
in it, right? And then the altar of Baal, I don't know if it would be a stone altar or if it would be a wooden altar. But same kind of deal, something with carvings of him on it. And they would have had images, but I'm not enough well versed in that stuff. Every time I want to know about that, I have to go back and research it and figure it out. I can't ever remember. I'm not up on my Baal knowledge or whatever. So, Jerubbaal, though, that's a pretty funny word, though, isn't it?
Jerubbaal.
Yeah.
Say that 3 times
Hubba
fast.
bubba.
Jerubbaal.
Did
Jerubbaal,
it gets pretty weird. So yeah. What do you think?
I think it's cool that I was just researching this, or I guess when I was researching it, the 7 years that the bull is 7 years old. It's really cool how God works, because they were oppressed by the Midianites for 7 years.
There you go.
And then, like, that bull somehow was, like, he saw all of it. Yeah. So, like, the bull was, like, there for all the oppressors. It's like, all right, now you're going to die. It's just pretty cool.
You imagine that. That is interesting. I never have made that connection, but that is pretty interesting, because think about it. The bull saw all of them straying away from God too.
Yes.
Right? Like he was the witness to that fact, you know, and you bear witness to it. And so
It's pretty cool.
He's like, "Bro, I was with y'all in it."
Now you're going to kill me?
Yeah,
me.
he was just born. Wait. I can't even speak English. Like, what?
I've been through all this with you.
They had to kill the uncle.
Selfish.
Oh man. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool though. That like he was just chewing on the what do they call that stuff?
Grass.
No, yeah, is it
Good
cud?
guess. Good guess.
The cud?
Yeah, the cud. Yeah, he's chewing on the cud out there, man. Just watching them all sinners be sinners, man. They're like, you're up. Come on.
Yeah, I guess if you think about it from like an animated movie standpoint, that is kind of funny. Like, you mean,
Bro.
Oh man. What was that? It's like
Can
the
we vote
barnyard.
on this?
Like point at him, he looks behind him. He's like,
but if you think about that too, like the whole 7 years of oppression and watching all that happen, like, so if we go down a path different than the one God wants us to go down, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's always going to be somebody that sees that watches that either, and we're going to talk later about kind of a ripple effect or a domino effect. So there's people that see us on the upside, but also people that see the downward slide as well, you know.
Yeah.
And so someone will witness what we do. And so in the Christian world, we want to talk about our witness, you know, all the time. Well, that's kind of the deal, is someone is always going to witness your life, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
people are watching.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Other thoughts about this chunk of the Bible?
I really enjoyed. Well, I was reading it. I didn't catch it till yesterday, and it's 26 when he says, what does he say? Sacrifice the bulls of burnt offering on the altar, using the fuel the wood of the Asherah pole. And I just thought, don't just cut it down, but offer it. Use it as an offering up for the Lord.
Okay.
It's not just let it lay there. And,
Okay.
You know, like I don't know how to go further into that, but it was funny that it's like, yeah, cut it down, but now chop it up and use it
And put it in the fire.
and use that to burn.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I guess I was just skimming through it the first time, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, think about like, I'm very new to this like Lent thing. I never like have participated in it until this year, but that's kind of like what Lent is for. It's for like you to take this idol or such. So like if it's social media or anything, and so like when you think about it, that you can't do it, you're supposed to think about, you know, Jesus and how you know he's taken your idol away from it. And it's kind of just like that, like oh well, let's use this fuel for this fire so that like my craving for social media, well, let me just get in my Bible, you know. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It's crazy how deep.
Season of Lent.
Yeah, how deep like idolatry can really be, or how simple. I know a lot of people I did for a fact, just kind of reading the Bible, like idols back in the day were these big things, these big golden statues and poles.
Yeah.
And it's just not even until recently that I really understood how like much we idolize the littlest things. It's just our appearance or money. That's a big one, or school, or titles. And it's crazy how deep or like infested your life can be with idols. It's not just one. Everyone's got one idol, you know. Find that out. You know, it's something big, and I think it opens your eyes to Lent or fasting.
Yeah.
Not even
Fasting's
just food,
good
but
too, man.
fasting other stuff. How much like you are just honed on some things. And
Yeah.
It's just like your life is infested.
Almost like dependent on it.
Yeah.
At some
Addicted.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Addicted. Yeah. I mean, it's. Yeah. I mean.
The idol tends to direct the course of your
Yeah.
life, right? Because if it's just some random thing, you know, then whatever, you know. Like we went on a family trip one time it was our 20th anniversary, and so all four of us we went to Hawaii. Only time we've been anywhere like that, done anything crazy like that. And while we were over there, one of Reed's souvenir, he brought two souvenirs back. He brought a coconut back, and then he brought a like this wood carving of some, you know, island. I don't know if it was like an old like island deity or whatever, you know. And I kind of thought about it when he like put it up in his room, and I'm like, that's kind of weird, you know.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, he didn't think anything of it. It wasn't. It
I
wasn't.
just thought it was cool.
It wasn't truly an idol to him. So which is kind of like how like something like that. We can have hanging around our neck or whatever, but if it doesn't mean anything to us, but like the idols you're talking about, like whether it's money or titles or whatever it is, or school or achievement, like those things mean a lot to us and we're like invested in them.
Yeah.
And so I think like my guess is like these false idols that they had in Gideon's day, they were sort of directing some of the steps of their life. They were planning around them. They were offering them up as worship. They were center pieces, in their homes and in their, tribes and all that stuff. So the whole burning them down thing is like, okay, you're not just going to cut that down because you could just easily,
Go right back to it.
You could prop that back up. We're going to smash it and then we're going to burn it. We're going to totally get rid of it.
Did you make Reed do that?
No, I didn't.
All right, son, this is what we're going to do.
Son,
It's probably in a box somewhere, honestly,
Yeah.
is where it is now. I have no clue. But
It's cool how, or I guess what stood out to me is, 27 and 28, when Gideon took 10 men of his servants and he did as the Lord had told him, but because he was too afraid of his family and the men of the town to do it by day, he did it by night, and everyone found out anyways. And it's kind of like when you make that decision to put God into your life, like that ripple effect is bigger than you know. Like people are going to know.
yeah, if it's a real
And
thing, they're going to
If
know.
it's a real thing, they're going to see change. They're going to see that you are doing something different with your life.
and
Yeah.
these great prophets, they're terrified too. They don't want to change. I mean,
No.
like he said, like I'm gonna go at night with 10 men at night because I'm terrified, man. And it's funny how that just shows his humanity as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't go by himself, and maybe he needed the extra muscle to cut down the pole or whatever, But yeah, he also did it at night when he thought at least that would take the edge off of it. I could get it done before everybody would know, but the light of day always shows up, right? It's,
Yeah.
it comes back around, for better or worse.
Yeah.
The light of day is going to shine.
Yeah.
So,
And they wouldn't hear, just chopping it down,
Right.
burning it all.
yeah.
It's like, you might think someone might have woke up and like, what's going on in Gideon's yard?
Get out of my yard. Get off my lawn. Well, when I hear him going out and doing it at night, though, one of the things I always think about, which this is sort of the opposite, but like if you're gonna go toilet paper somebody's house or those kind of pranks or those things you do at night, and you're all jacked up to do it, and it's gonna be this huge thing, but then you wake up the next morning and maybe you're like, man, they might be pretty mad, I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm going to have to and it's like you're saying, like they found out anyway that he's the one who did it. Because as soon as everybody wakes up, they're like, what the heck? Who cut down the pole? And so we do have to kind of work through that idea. Like, what does that look like? What is that going to be like if I make this change,
Yeah,
Did y'all do that up here?
yeah.
Y'all TP'd for like
I
homecoming?
did, but I don't
yeah.
know if
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My
People
senior
still
year,
do
we
it.
had prank wars.
Yeah,
between
we
junior
did.
and
Yeah, we
sophomores,
did.
and we wrecked
We did.
each other's
We
house.
did. We had like oh man, what was that? That like Orbeez gun that was like super big in high school.
Splat gun?
Yeah, that we had like wars of
Yeah.
that, and we would do TP wars and stuff.
Well,
man.
West Monroe and all them started doing it too, and it got to the point where they were like paintballing like cars and house, like we had to cut it all out.
We would
It
do
got bad.
we would fork the yards, and then we would take instant mashed potatoes and sprinkle it in the yard, and if it rained the night before-
Petroleum jelly on the windshield. You can't get that off.
Oh man, just making sure y'all were normal. Y'all had normal upbringings here.
What's normal to you?
That.
Whatever.
I guess, yeah. Man, I want to talk about some idols, and Brady, you kind of mentioned it on how the fact that like when you were trying to realize what is an idol, you always thought about something tangible, like
Yeah, absolutely.
oh, it's something that's carved, or like Reed's souvenir from Hawaii,
Yeah.
from the from the trip, like it's a carving, and in Exodus it talks about that, like not to have carvings or make images of stuff like that. But you hit on it as well, like today's idols are, I think, a lot different
Absolutely.
than back in the day, and they're also a lot sneakier because you can't see them, right? And so, like, what do y'all think are some idols that today people struggle with? And,
I think my pursuit of my career as trying to be a physician.
Yeah.
I think you can do that with any career, but I think I just had to really lock in for such a long time, and it kind of does become your personality.
Yeah.
Because you spend a lot of time doing it. That's with anything, it's gonna kind of consume you. And I found myself, I still do. I have to really check myself. That becomes all I think about. It sways all my decisions, even when I'm not in school. And just like, will this affect my future? Will this affect my acceptance? Will it mess this up?
Yeah.
And then I have to take a step back. I'm like, dude, holy crap, calm down. Like that, it's almost like that becomes your identity, and that you can fill in the blank with whatever that is for you. But I do think it still is a big one for me that I have to keep in check, because, I get it. You put in a lot of years, it's going to become who you are, and you have to work hard and diligent towards these things, but you have to make sure that that's not. You need to be a Christian, like you said, a Christian med student, not a med student who happens to be a Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, and you're not alone in that as
Absolutely,
well. Like that is, there's a verse in Paul wrote it somewhere, I'm sure, talking about how like no sin is not too common for man.
Yeah.
Like that's, man, I struggle with that still. Like getting the internship or whatever. Like, man, and I talked to you about it, man. Like making sure that I'm not so prideful to where I fall into that and like, oh man, I get to go work at 1122 with Joby Martin. Oh, I'm so cool.
Absolutely.
Like, no, you're not. Okay, you need to check yourself at the door and realize that the Lord gifted you with these abilities and the opportunities that you have, and that you should not idolize that, but you should just keep like walking with Him.
Yeah.
I think another one too, going off of careers and stuff, is just like money and like materialism, and wanting things, like especially in today's day and age. Like, I fell victim to this. Like, I'll see something on Instagram. I was like, man, that's really cool. I want that. Then I'll see it again. I'm like, man, I really want that. And then the third time I see it, I'm like, all right, I'm buying it.
Yeah, I think
you got me.
I think a lot of things is with like earning, because with careers, you work hard, you work diligent, and eventually, when you reach it, I've fallen into that trap of, it's with money as well.
Yeah.
But this idea of like, man, I earned that. I worked hard, and I'm the reason for my success, because I remember all the hours in the library, all the hours of taking practice to, like, I did that. And then that's what that kind of becomes, because you did it, but it was by God's grace, and He gave you that dream. He allowed you to be at this school, to have that opportunity to study, to have the family support, that you didn't have to pay for all these materials. Like, you can go down either wormhole, and I think you become that's even the Israelites had that problem. Like, it will be only by God's power that you achieve this, and I think that's where I fell in that trap of thinking it was just me. I did it.
I definitely have too. Think about okay, like I hate to like keep using this internship as an example, but like I get the internship, cool. Now what do I do? It's like, well, the chase is over. I was like, I already got it.
Yep.
Well, what else? What's the next thing that's going to fulfill me? And it's like, stop chasing these idols that you think are going to fulfill you, and just chase Jesus. Chase Jesus. And like that's really it. And those things can become distractions too. When we think about like the distractions or addictions in our lives, like our phone, check your screen time. And see how much time you spend on your phone a day, and like really think about. I had to check myself at the door with it, because I would spend not an ungodly amount of time, but I could spend that time in the Word, in studying God's Word, and they're just like Netflix, like binge watching Netflix. I'm not a victim of that per se. but I know some people are.
Yeah, it's personal. You have to fill in the blank for your own life.
Yeah, no, I mean absolutely. And then I thought about some like stuff too that we idolize. That's not really like because those things are kind of tangible.
Yeah.
Like think about that, but think about like internally, like our pride. We talk about that. Control. Control was a big one for me.
Absolutely.
And like patience and stuff, wanting things done on my time and not God's time, and putting my plan above the Lord's plan. They're all idols.
Yeah.
And they're sneaky. They're sneaky idols, man.
Yeah, sneaky is a good word to describe it. I think another word to describe them too is and I think this is true for the Israelites. It's like an idol is something that it's almost like, what have you done for me lately would be the description, I think. Like, so, because this is what Gideon, remember the conversation that he has with the angel, right? He's like, hey, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. And then Gideon's like, well, if the Lord's with us, then what the heck is going on around here, man? He's got these people coming. Where's the God that parted the Red Sea? I don't see any plagues on these Midianites.
All these signs of my ancestors.
Yeah, like I don't see it right now. And that's why it's like what we forget really quickly who God is, and then we put something else in the place of God, which is, what an idol is. You put that in the place of God, and you give that priority and kind of this big time spot in your life. And so for the Israelites, that's what they were doing. That's why they had this stuff in their backyards. And I use the word backyard just because it kind of makes it more commonplace, but it's like this is the Asherah pole that your dad has put up. Like it's in your home, it's in your place, and so it's so they're what have you done for me lately? They're sneaky, but it's also like very personal.
Yes.
It's like right up in here in our life. Like it's not something like out off in the distance that we touch every month or whatever. That ironically is sometimes what our relationship with God becomes.
Yeah.
Is that, especially here growing up in South America, where we are, with shout out Zach Miller if you ever listen to this. But we are so, church is just such a thing, and so it gets way put over here, but then the idols, they're the ones that kind of get closer to us.
Yeah.
What we cling to. Don't cling to idols is the urge there from the gospel writers, the New Testament writers, and but yet we do. Don't cling to worthless idols.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Especially for me, I like how you said it's personal, because I feel like my idol is me. It's the image that I want, like, myself to be.
Yeah.
I have this overwhelming pressure to be the guy who can get things done, who can, always be at fraternal stuff, always help a brother out when he needs help, or always pay for my girlfriend's meal, or just I make all these promises because I'm trying to shape myself into who I think I need to be, and it kills me.
So you're human.
Yeah, I know, because I'm human.
Yeah.
And it kills me because I let that image, like, it just completely blinds me from who God's wanting me to be in this moment right now. Like, we talk about how important, like, how good of a position we are within our fraternity to spread the gospel, and I find myself just not even realizing what I could do at that given moment or that given time because I'm too worried about what I'm doing for myself right now.
Yeah. No, it's...
Yeah. You said something about, I can't remember what you said. It was just 2 minutes ago, but Matthew 6:24, man. We're going to talk about idols, and I just want to read this. He says, Jesus is talking to a crowd, and he says, no one can serve two masters, a.k.a. an idol. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted, to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. And not just money in general. He's just using that
God
as
and blank.
an example. Yeah, God and blank. What are you serving? Are you serving God, or are you serving God and?
I think
Right.
to the listener, last week was, okay, am I enough? Well, I'm not, but I want to make this step. You don't have to, like he called Gideon. He didn't say, we didn't wait for Gideon to cut down the pole and then come to Gideon. Like he
Yeah,
came
he
to
came to
Gideon,
Gideon first.
and
Nice.
then so
Yeah.
I guess the next step we're going with this is, okay, you've stepped out. You're like, okay, Lord, I need to change. I'll trust in whatever you say because I have no clue. But that doesn't. There's going to be some stuff, some baggage, some weight, some idols that you have that you've been pursuing. I mean, you can fill it in for yourself, but you can't just leave it there. And it's okay to have them first off, because we all did and we all do. But it can't lay dormant. Like there's got to be some action on your part. And I think that's where we're trying to take this.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah,
I don't want that closet.
I don't want the listener to be like, "Oh, these guys got it all figured out. They have no idols." Yeah, I find idols every day.
Give
in
me
my
a-
life.
Wait, the listener. Is it just
We're
one person?
we're around the country.
I thought we were.
boy.
I thought we were going across the world. here.
For listeners out there.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
If you want some idols of mine, just give me a pen and paper. I'll write some down.
No,
for you.
really. I mean, every time I tap into this book, I'm reading something, or if I'm listening to worship music in I say in the car, that's where I predominantly listen to it at. But just in general, like if I'm drawing near to God, and we're gonna get into this, He's constantly just chipping away and showing me things, showing me idols that are like taking me away from Him. And we kind of talked about it earlier. But I'm a very like step by step guy. Like I talk to you all the time about like if there was a Lego book, like if there was an instruction set so easy as a Lego book, you know, that I could follow, it'd be awesome. But there's just not. But there is for idols, and it's so simple. And you've told me this so many times, but I want to talk about how like. What are some times in your life where you've realized an idol and you've like kind of put a stem on it, but you've like flirted with it almost, Think about times like that, because I know for me, I've like you'll look at the crossroad. This is a good example. Like you'll look at the crossroad, you'll see it, and you'll be like, oh, let me just patch this up. It's like you're playing like Black Ops Zombies, and you put the barriers up, but like they're gonna get torn down anyway if you're not constantly being there. That's such a weird example. But
Yeah.
No, but that makes
I appreciate
perfect
it.
sense.
I appreciate the example.
Yeah, that's
I know exactly what you're trying to
shout
say.
out Call of Duty for that example. But we have to kill them. We have to destroy them. And we talked about earlier where literally he used the pole as fuel. So it was disintegrated.
Yeah.
It was it turned into the smoke and ashes. It was gone. And your idols, they can't be managed or excused. Like you have to kill them from the source. And sometimes people are like, they don't want to go cold turkey with something.
Right.
Like that is the way to do it, because you're just gonna keep you're gonna keep flirting with it, and you're gonna keep like going back to it eventually. And in Colossians 3:5, it says, "Put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you: sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desires, and the covetousness, which is idolatry." So not just those things are idolatry, right? I don't want to infer that.
But
that
anything that's in the place of God
Is an idol.
is an idol.
is idolatry, right?
Yeah,
And
go back
so-
to Matthew 6:24.
And then
can't
so
serve two masters.
that's what you're looking at is like, okay, taking priority, directing my steps, because it's one thing to be, okay, I got an exam, I'm in med school, I actually do have to study, but if it directs the whole like course of your life, like who you are type person, if it causes you to compromise your integrity and who God has called you to be, if it takes the place of God, if it pushes you over the edge, then it becomes an idol, And I think like when you're in high school, probably, I mean, you guys are all like, what, high school All-American types or whatever, like sports becomes your
First
idol.
team all bench.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's an easy one, right? But like a girlfriend can take that spot,
absolutely.
in a heartbeat, And I think probably like that's probably one of the better examples, really, like in it, ironically, with relationships, what it's supposed to be is that it's you and this other person, and God is supposed to be between you, holding you together and helping you navigate what it's supposed to be like. But instead, we just kind of kick God out of the way, and we're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I can't get as close.
Something's in between us.
Yeah.
Like
What the heck?
Mr. West was saying at the retreat, like
Yeah.
if you put a person like where God should be as that person in your life, where you rely on them for help, whether it's a girlfriend, significant other, a mentor, even a father, a mother, like as much as we don't want to fail you, we will.
Yeah.
People will fail you. Like there's absolutely no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And one person who doesn't fail is God.
Right.
Obviously. And it's so easy for us because we get that instant gratification of like, oh my gosh, like, I really need a hug right now. Okay, hug, bang, over. Or I really need advice from you.
Yeah.
And you give it to me and it's great and I love it. But time after time, like we are distancing ourselves from God without even knowing it.
Sure. Well, that's good too, like, because that's what the Israelites were doing. Like, well, they hadn't seen God show up for a while, so put up the pole. We need some rain,
Yeah, let me do it on my own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me manhandle this, Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah, he says, the Lord, but you would not listen to me, says the Lord. You made me furious by worshiping idols you made with your own hands, bringing on yourselves all the disasters you now suffer. And it's like,
Oh,
What verse is that?
that's
25.
That's great.
Of what chapter, Jeremiah?
Jeremiah 25:7.
Oh, 25:7. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And it's like,
It's got like,
we just can't, we are so impatient, man. I mean, I'm the most impatient. I want it done yesterday. And it's just, well, we'll figure it out. Throw the pole, like you said, throw the pole up.
see if this works.
The corn is not growing. Throw the pole up. Throw a couple of them up. Heck,
Build an altar too.
The
while
more
you're
the
at it,
better.
Whatever we can do.
I'll help you out, God.
Yeah. Let me kickstart this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, I got this. Back
Yeah.
up. I got this.
Just need
Man.
to choke it.
Yeah.
Choke the engine a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like you might be an idol worshiper if, well, let me see this how we do it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of like the whole you might be redneck. But
Yeah.
I think,
The do it yourself.
yeah, this is how we're going to get it done.
DIY.
And exactly like when has that worked out? Like ever, when you've taken something like that and you've said, no, I'm not going to do it your way, God. I'm tired of waiting on you. I'm going to do it my way, and like, okay, so like with relationships and sex and stuff like that, when has that worked out?
Never.
When has that worked
Never.
out?
Yeah,
It's never
and
worked out.
that saying,
In
if
the
it
moment.
ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mhm.
Like God is that way is never gonna fail. It's never gonna be broken. But because that we want that instant gratification, it's like, oh, I need to try to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to try to fix this, but it's not broken.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm gonna break it trying to fix it.
There you go.
Just like fans, Don't you pull that fan off the roof because it ain't going back the way it came home.
What fan?
Fans in general,
Oh.
any fan,
Okay.
ceiling
Ceiling
fan,
fans.
they're the worst.
Yeah.
Right.
I did the drywall. I didn't do the fan. In Mexico. No clue.
Big,
I'm not-
big roof guy over here. Almost died. Thanks to this guy. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
Right when I get off the roof, things go wrong.
not.
Almost died in Mexico. They had to bury me out there, man. But praise
did it.
God. Praise God.
You made it out.
Yeah, I made it out.
So bringing it back to what Brady said, like the knowing that there might be idols in your life, that you have to deal with, and so step one might be the hardest step, or step two, with the way Brady was explaining it, like cutting the idol down, like making
Yeah.
that first ripping the Band-Aid off type deal. But when Gideon does that, and man, if you have to do it at night, you need some buddies to help you do it, whatever, like get that part done. Like if your idol is your girlfriend, maybe that doesn't mean you have to get rid of her, but maybe that means you have to redefine the nature of your relationship, as the great Doc Holliday once said, in Tombstone. But that's what you got to do it. That needs to happen, right? And so, however, whatever step you got to take, but then realizing that after that, there's actually some good consequences that can come from it. The whole ripple effect that we're kind of talking about, like once you. Like, I would imagine that this is how it is. Like, you're fraternity guy at a party, and you're deciding, this is, I know I'm not supposed to be womanizing here. I know I'm not supposed to be looking for this chick to hook up with. I know God doesn't want me to go down that road. And so tonight, I'm not doing it. I'm not even going to drink, whatever. I'm taking this stand. I'm going to do it. I'm ripping the Band-Aid off. I'm cutting down the pole. I'm not going to do it. And then the first thing that's going to happen is just like what happened with Gideon, is somebody's going to notice that, hey, Mason ain't acting like he normally does. What's going on with that? And so once that happens, as hard as that first step might have been, then you see, what happens beyond that. And so you guys are a lot younger than I am, so most of our listeners are way younger than me. And so kind of talk me through that. Talk me through this happening and then what you see as a positive, like the ripple effect. Because what happens with Gideon is his dad. Remember, his dad put up the pole in the first place, okay? And he sees his son out there taking this stand for what's right. And so the son has this impact on the dad, and the dad's like, "Hey, if you guys think the Baal or Asherah, if they need help, maybe they're not such a great God at all." Like he begins to defend his son's actions because he's now that it's been brought into the light of day. And I just even imagine, like for the dad, he's like, "Man, I've been thinking about cutting that pole down for a long time. Yeah. I've been knowing that pole wasn't supposed to be there.
You knew there's no power in it."
Yeah, I knew there was no power in it, right? And I just couldn't do it.
It's funny you say that because most people are college, so the bar is just going to keep coming up. But I think that was the big thing for me, is like that held power in my life.
It's our biggest
and I'm
subject.
Not, and that's it's a big subject.
Hey, it is, man.
And not saying if you go to the bar, you're a sinner. Like, you can act accordingly. But most of the time, it entices us to do wrong things.
It does.
So get that out the way. But I used to think the bar held so much power in, like, gaining something from people, or to hold this thing on a totem, like this totem pole that I'm on. I got to stay up there. I got to keep the image up, going hard, man. And I was trying to find it forever while you're talking. But 1 Peter, when all these people are like, "Man, who did this?" Like, they're going crazy. They don't they're pissed because this is what they're doing, and someone went against what they're doing.
Right.
Even if it's not their backyard.
Right.
It's Gideon's.
Mm-hmm.
Why should they care?
Yeah.
Well, it's what they're doing, so it must be pointing a finger at them.
Yes.
Well, and it says, 1 Peter says, "Of course, your former friends are surprised when you no longer plunge into the flood of wild and destructive things they do. So they slander you. But remember that they will have to face God, who stands ready to judge everyone." And it's whoa. And it's like, I remember I read that, and when I was still struggling, like I wanted to go to the bar, but I always did stupid stuff when I went there, and I just didn't have that self-control. And I'm like, man, if I don't go, we all had that. I'm not gonna go out tonight. Like, man, you're
FOMO,
late.
man.
Come on, bro, you're late. Like, the group chat's tearing you apart. Like, man, come on. Like, I'm just trying to stay home. Why do you need me there? Like, because it's fun. Well, and I'm like, why does this happen? And then I read that, and I was like, whoa. How'd you know? How'd you know they were gonna do that?
Yeah.
And it's just it really kind of brought some peace, and like he told me 2,000 years ago. I don't know when he wrote this, but a long time ago, like, it's going to happen. It is not new. Nothing under the sun is new.
No.
And it's like, they're going to slander you, and it's not going to be fun. But just know that you're not alone in that. It's going to happen. Don't be surprised when it does. Yeah. And that brought a lot of, I mean, I remember I was laying in bed when I read that. I was like, man, nice. No, this is actually what's happening. I'm gonna go to bed now.
Yeah, I think that is
Peter gets it. So
I think that is one of the best compliments you can receive. Like when I started truly running my race with Jesus, I remember I had a buddy of mine that came to me and he was like, "Man, I don't even recognize you. You're not the Wyatt that I met when I came to college." I said, "You're exactly right. I'm not the same Wyatt."
Yeah.
And that's all glory to God. And that slander can, I think Paul writes about it somewhere where he's like take these, like I rejoice in my suffering because I know that I'm getting closer to Jesus or closer to God. I'm butchering that verse, but it's in there. But just hold fast to that or hold closely to that and know that, like, if you are trying to cut out these idols, like, you're gonna get slandered about it because that is what the world tells you to do, and you're rejecting that, and so that's like human nature to be like, "Oh, you're weird. Oh, you're doing this," but rejoice in that.
Yeah,
it's in everybody else's backyard.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone's doing it, but like I'm just gonna try it in my backyard.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter if it's just you. I'm gonna keep it to myself. I'm gonna stop going to the bar, but stop doing whatever. Keep saying the bar, but whatever. And the people that are doing it, they're still gonna notice, and they're gonna see that as you're coming at them of quitting what they're doing.
Yeah,
and it's like they love company. They want company. They want they want acceptance. That's just us as humans. We want to be accepted, and they want to be part of the crowd, so we feel like we're doing something right. But I was gonna go talking about suffering or whatever. You should take that in a good manner.
Yeah.
And I said about in Acts how the disciples left the synagogue after had a couple lashes or whatever, and they were rejoicing because they were counted worthy to suffer for the name of Jesus Christ.
Yep.
And when I read that, I remember I was at work and I was like, man, I don't really rejoice when I suffer. Like, it
hurts,
man.
It
kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I want people to like me.
Yeah, it's not fun at all. Yeah. But think about how, we're going to talk about the domino effect.
Yeah.
And think about how you suffering has influenced other people in your life. I mean, let's bring it all the way back to 2022 when I joined the fraternity. There was there was a little bit of Jesus in the fraternity. There was. And
occasionally,
yeah. The very rare Sunday morning where people would go to church and, the Wesley on Mondays people would go, and maybe the occasional Bible study here and there, right? But it was, the flame was dim. Like, it was very, very low. And 2023, shout out D. Holmes Locks, Drake Holmes. He decided that he wasn't putting up with it anymore, man. And he was going to change. And I remember sitting and seeing him change. And I was like, that is not the same guy that I knew 2022 to 2023. There's something up with this guy. There's something different about him. And I see it, and I kind of want it. Because there's something that's enticing about it, man. That he just had this in everything that he'd been through, man. Like, he was not putting up with it anymore.
Enticing like Andrew Garfield? Enticing? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, ask Brady about that question, man. Ask Brady about that question.
Wait.
Go on.
Yeah.
Let's stay on topic.
I'm not going to out you, Brady. But
Andrew Garfield was a very good Spider-Man, if anyone's wondering. That's why they're...
Yeah, he might have a small crush on him, but we're not going to get there.
Do not.
No. But man, think about, and you got to witness this as well, and you're not even in the fraternity, which is really cool. But we all got to witness that, right? And then I think you were probably the next in line for that change of like, man, there is something about this that is real.
Yeah.
And then that ripple effect turned into what I would claim to be us, right? Where I see Drake Holmes, I'm like,
Yeah.
This is cool. Like, what's up with this? There's more Jesus being brought into the fraternity. We have guys that came in 2023 that were, that knew Christ, that were following Jesus, and that kind of added to the group of believers. And then you fast forward to now, we're on a podcast. We've had 5 baptisms in the fraternity this year, and Drake Holmes would have never thought that him taking a leap of faith, a step out of the normal, and saying, "Hey, I'm not gonna go and womanize and drink and do all these stuff." He would have never thought the impact he had on us 3 and in the fraternity. Like that is your calling.
Yeah.
To kill idols through Jesus and to walk by faith, and it changes people's lives.
Oh, yeah.
And even in the fall, I want to hit back on this, but remember when all of our new guys came in and we were talking.
I'll never forget that.
And this was the most insane thing.
Our first meeting ever with our new pledges. Yeah.
And one guy stands up and he says, "I did not know that a fraternity could do this, could put God first."
Mm-hmm.
I came in here fully expecting this to just be partying and girls and this and that, and that. But this is so cool that y'all are actually
I'm not even putting God first, but trying to mix God into it, or trying to change the environment or the traditions. Because coming in Kappa Sig in 2021, it wasn't pretty. And you say there was a flame. I don't think there's a lighter in the room when I came in.
Yeah.
And there were, but not for that purpose. But and just fast forward to D Holmes. Shout out. I know he's gonna be listening.
Yeah, he is.
But I remember
Love you,
him
Drake.
coming to me, and I'm about positive he was doing a Bible study at McGuire, and I could definitely tell there was something changing in Drake, and I was struggling at that time too to trying to step out of that. And he's like, "We're gonna do a Bible study at McGuire and stuff." I'm like, and he was scared, of course. I was scared for him to even try to show up and not help him out, but kind of just do it. I was like, was it you, me, and Drake that I kind of trying to come up with the studying part?
Yeah, that was
terrifying.
The
I'm
most I've ever done with my faith.
And I was like, of course,
that moment.
the unworthiness was like, man, I was at the bar last week, or I was doing this, or I was at the social tearing it up, and it was scary, but it's got to start somewhere. And seeing how Drake just completely has become a strong man in his faith, and he is trying to live it out, and it's amazing to see. And all of us, how we've grown. It takes time.
It's not gonna happen overnight.
And a lot of the new dudes, they're struggling. I'm not saying Kappa Sig's perfect or anything.
We're not.
We're not.
We are not at all.
But you can see dudes actually thinking this. Is this right? And they are struggling. They're struggling with humanity and the talk of Jesus, and that trying to follow the 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Where should I go? But that wasn't even a thought in 2021. If you brought up Jesus, you
probably got.
Dude, you're thinking too deep into life. We got tailgate this week.
Why
you need to
are
lock
you
in.
worrying about that?
You need to lock
right
in.
now.
Beer 30 right now, man.
Yeah,
You're not even thinking about Jesus.
At 5 o'clock exactly, Wine Wednesday starts.
But no, it's. I'm not
there?
saying it's just a synagogue over there or nothing, but from what I thought what I knew the fraternity was at in 21 to what it is now, there's no other explanation than God.
Yeah.
And you can have your own opinion on that, whoever, but God is moving, and it doesn't have to just be contained over there. Now, if it can happen in Kappa Sig, from what I saw it as, it can happen anywhere.
Yeah, I was literally going to say that. That is, if you think that you can't be a light to Jesus, one guy brought Jesus into a fraternity where the primary objective was to get drunk and chase women. If you think that you are not worthy enough to bring Jesus into your situation, use that as a testimony to God can. Genesis 50:20, he takes the evil and uses it for good. That just trust Jesus.
Yeah.
Just run to Jesus with your idols, with everything. Live that out, and you will be so surprised how many lives you change just through that.
Yeah.
Like through Jesus being a light in you, and it's such a testament like to the faithfulness of Jesus.
And even before, when I would think like, man, I do want to like express that I don't want to do these things, or like why I'm really trying to follow Jesus, and I want people to know, because if they don't, they'll think you won't support. And I'm like, I can't bring Jesus in a fraternity. It's not gonna catch. It's not gonna catch. It's just not. That's Jesus and fraternity shouldn't be in the same sentence.
Yeah.
And now looking at it now, and you hear other people saying that, of like, man, Cabot Sig, they're doing this and that, but also they're still having that fraternity side to them, and it's like, it's almost like you get ridiculed by even trying to do that. And it's like, okay, we're not following Jesus the best over there, but we're trying to bring Jesus into it. And it's like people try to say, well, you shouldn't even have it there or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's like almost the basis of their argument. It's like, okay, well, where should we bring Jesus then? Where?
Yeah.
Where's a better place to even try to speak the name of Jesus, or let a handful of guys find Jesus. Just find them. And I mean, that's a win in itself, just one of them. I mean, heaven rejoices.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, okay, give me a better option then. Where should I go to the church and proclaim Jesus?
Do you want me to not tell people about Jesus?
Yeah.
I mean, especially, man, I can't, this it makes me upset where, it's like some Christians will be like, oh, well, this guy got saved, and like, we're trying to bring Jesus into the fraternity. They're like, oh, they're not doing it right. They're not, they're not really following this thing out. It's like, well, man, do you want me just not to tell them about it? You know me not to spread the gospel? Because, I mean, look at my life, man. I got saved in 2018, and it took me, whatever that math is, 7, 8 years to truly figure it out.
Yeah. If I have to look like a hypocrite to just let one person know about Jesus, man, that's a win for me. I used to hate. I didn't want to seem like a hypocrite, but
I'm a hypocrite. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna.
Yeah.
There's no way to avoid it.
I am.
There's no way to, and that's fine.
That's funny, right? I'm still looking at your highlighted verse about who's going to slander you. And originally you were talking about the other people out there that see you make the change and kind of want you back or whatever. They're going to slander you or whatever. And now you're talking about, just sitting here listening to you guys, you're talking about your Christian friends slandering you in that moment.
Yes, it is. And then I hope they just take that as a testament to themselves. It's like, man, where am I at with Christ? Do I want people to know Jesus?
Right,
or do
right.
I just want to keep this Jesus to myself.
Yeah.
Because that's not the real Jesus.
Yeah.
It's not.
Where did Jesus go?
Yeah, he left the 99 to go to the one. He went and sat with the sinners with Zacchaeus and brought him in, and people were looking at him like, man, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Why is he sitting with the sinners?
Who was looking at him doing that?
Yeah, the Pharisees, the Christians,
the church people.
And when we started just trying it out, like, people are going to throw your past in your face of like, man, you're right. I was doing that. I was doing all the fraternity stuff. I was.
Own up to it.
I sure enough was, but I'm not anymore. And that's speaking to the listeners out there. Like, they're gonna throw your past in your face. They're going to, because that's who they think, that's your identity, but it's not.
You found a new identity in Christ.
You are not identified by that anymore. It's okay, yeah. You were doing all this before. Well, I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
I'm trying to step out and do this Jesus thing, do this God thing. I'm not perfect at it. I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna slip. I'm gonna get back up, and I'm gonna keep going. And again, I freaking love this, man. Like, so they slander you, like, because you don't no longer plunge into the flood and wild and destructive things they're doing. Like, that's why they're doing it. They're going to slander you.
Yeah.
And just know it's Jesus has defeated this world. He's defeated it. You're no longer identified by it, and you don't let that hold you back or hinder you from taking a step out and talking about it with your buddy in class, or with your friend here in your fraternity, in your sorority. I mean, go for it, man. Because
Yeah. You don't know what's going to come
You
out
don't
of it.
know,
Don't
like-
put God in a box, man.
you're
Well-
talking about Kappa Sig, like just what from when it started to what it is now. It's like
Yeah.
it just blows your mind.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is
It
that what you're
goes.
saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes deeper than everybody. Everybody points to Drake or whatever, but if Drake was sitting
Yeah.
here, he could tell you. He could tell you where the little
Yeah.
bitty spark,
Yeah.
the Bear Grylls out in the
Yeah,
you
they
know,
were
Alaska.
saying that about. I'm like, dude, it goes
Yeah.
deeper than that.
yeah, I mean,
I
that's
promise
just
you.
what I've seen.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying if Drake was here, I'm not going to do it. But if Drake was here, he could tell you. You know.
Yeah.
He could tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Drake,
could tell you.
Drake's
but-
probably shaking his head when he said, like, dude, no, that ain't
Yeah,
right.
it's not me.
He could tell you.
Yeah.
And but it like Brady said, it's got to start somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and that little bitty spark, on a Sunday night in right before meeting at in 2021, I mean it's tiny sparks, and then it goes into something or whatever. But what I was going to say is, you're talking about people saying, "Oh, well, they're not doing it right. They're not living it right. You can't be use a fraternity to talk to people about Jesus or whatever." What did they use for the fire for the sacrifice?
Asherah.
They used the Asherah pole.
Yeah.
I mean, they used the thing opposite of God to they burned it. They used it as fuel for the fire.
An incense that was pleasing to the Lord.
Yeah. Man, such a funny God we serve, man. I think to wrap us up, man, like step 2 of defeating your idols is to just seek God. That's it. I mean, I think all of us can say, and past fraternity guys too, like, it was nothing we did to do, and it was just a step of faith. Like, God, hey, I'm gonna tell this guy about Jesus. If he thinks I'm a weirdo, cool. I'm gonna tell him again. If he ridicules me, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm doing my job.
If this chick thinks I'm weird,
Yeah, because I
Great.
don't want to hook up with her, or I'm not drinking. Man, praise God for you, because you're doing it right. You're following Jesus, man, and that's what it takes. Like, that's what it takes, man. Replace your idols with more Jesus. Like John 4:13-14. Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again." Talking about idols. "Whatever drinks of the water that I will give him will never be thirsty again. The water I will give him will become in him a spring of water, welling up to eternal life." You can be the spring of water that can, cultivate a movement.
Yeah.
It takes one person, and we're not about here saying that I'm just overflowing with water,
Yeah.
man. I'm not
but
holier than thou.
we're just letting you know that we idolize the same things y'all are. We all
That's
did.
the truth.
And I'm just saying that it is possible, man. Like, you can cut down these idols. I mean, even if it's chipping away, one swing of the axe, hit it. Like, no, it's teetering a little bit. Next day, come out. Just keep pursuing the Lord. Keep saying, "Lord, like, I'm going to choose you. I'm going to try to quit doing these things. I'm trying." And just, that's all He wants you to do. Is just,
Yeah.
just choose them.
And you say like, just choose them. Like, it is a choice to kill idols. So you could sit here and the Spirit could be on you, and like, man, I have an addiction, to porn, or I stay on TikTok too long and I doom scroll, or I don't read my Bible enough.
Yeah.
Man, do something about
Yeah.
it.
It doesn't feel good.
It does not feel good.
I mean-
what you're feeling right now, if you were feeling convicted, it is not going
Yeah.
to feel good. But trust me,
Deny yourself
daily
and
pick up your cross, man.
Yeah.
Like, who is the Lord of your life? Are you claiming Jesus, and are your choices reflecting that? If they're not, man, praise God that you realize that. We've all realized that and had to come to senses that we're sinners. Like I said the other day, like, man, if you're a sinner, if you got a lot of sin, if you don't think you're enough,
Congratulations.
first step, congratulations, you'd be an awesome disciple. Man, take the step. I thought of this last night when I was doing this. Don't stay idle about your idols,
Yeah.
because they will kill you. They
Yeah.
will. They will, like stagnant faith is going to sink you. Man, keep going. If you're feeling something where man, I have these idols in my life. Man, take charge of them. Take action, because you don't know what's going to come out of it. Jesus, it's like Jesus only going to, God's only going to draw as close to you as you do to him. You could be asking for all these blessings, but you're still entertaining sin in your life. You're still entertaining these idols. No wonder you're not getting them. Man, turn to Jesus, and he will literally change your life. He will change your life. I can't express it enough.
Yeah.
Foot on the gas,
Foot
get
on
in the left
all
lane.
gas, no brakes, life in the fast lane for Jesus. Like,
Yeah. And,
And
lower, go ahead.
Well, there's last thing I'll say, but it is, we already talked about it, but you don't have to, as far as this ripple effect goes, and as far as like what can happen if you make that choice, if you cut down the idol, you're just a spark, man. I mean, like, you're not responsible for everybody else's life and everybody else's decisions, but if you make that choice, if you begin to follow Jesus, you become a spark that can ignite something for somebody else, and that's how the thing really, really grows and gets rolling, So it's just sparks. I mean, like, I'll shout out to my my baseball Hawks. Like, they were playing this game against Missouri State, and they were way down, and like, I don't know, it was like 8 runs or something like that, and they ended up making this comeback. But one of the key things that made the comeback is the dude took a few pitches and got a walk, and
spark.
just a spark, and then it led to
little
all this
momentum.
other stuff and hits and run. They ended up winning the game. It wasn't a grand slam, that got it started. It was
Just a little bit
staying
momentum.
a little disciplined, whatever, talk all the baseball stuff you want to, but it wasn't a highlight reel moment, but it was a spark, and it led to something else, that led to something else, that led to something big.
yeah, and that's how the Lord works. And just think about, like, if you've ever tried to spark a fire with a flint and steel, or, if you're really cool, like a bow drill or whatever, you get that little ember. Well, sometimes it doesn't always spark and cause a flame, like this huge flame, man. But over time, you keep chipping at
Yeah.
it, man. One of them's gonna catch, and it's gonna expand like crazy, So I keep going.
Yeah.
Keep following Jesus, man. Yeah.
All right.
Anything else?
It's pretty solid.
I think it was a good 90.
Yeah,
It was a good 90.
Yeah.
indeed.
Cool. Well, appreciate everybody for listening or watching, or I guess that's the only way you can do it is
Telepathy.
Yeah, you're not in the room with the you only use 2 of your senses there. But yeah, man, if you enjoyed this, or it's been helping you, give us a like, give us a follow, spread it to somebody, that you think could use it, because we're not here for the likes, we're not here for the fame or the glory.
We're here for the sparks.
We're here, we're here for Jesus, and
Not the basketball team.
Yeah, not the basketball team. Doesn't Caitlin Clark play for them?
All right, no,
Whatever,
she doesn't.
keep going,
Whatever.
keep going.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah.
Adios.
I'll see you around.
Oh man, see you, sinners.
Oh, did you say something?
Yes, go.
Oh my
Oh my gosh.
Mason.
All right, guys. See y'all later.
Oh my.